Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you are new, my name is Ashley and this is House of Johnsons, where I show you the crazy chaotic mess that is my home in a house full of Johnsons. Both my last name and the fact that I have 4 boys and a stepson, so 5 boys total. My stepson is 10 and my boys are 8, 5, 2, and 2 months. So I wanted to share with you Jensen's birth story. I have been MIA for quite some time on this channel, and I'm so sorry. Some of you have emailed me, some of you have texted me, some of you have Facebooked me, and some of you have just wondered, I'm sure, if you don't have me on all of those social media platforms. I will try to link them in the description box below so that you guys can if you want to, but you guys know I've been missing for quite some time. You know, I had a baby. I have lots of other kids. It's summertime, so we've had my stepson as well for weeks at a time, and it has been really busy around here. Not to mention, I've had a little bit of the postpartum blues, and I've had some medical things that have come up that have kind of complicated my recovery period, and just kind of a couple of scares that I had during pregnancy with Jensen. I told you guys about that, and now I have to get it taken care of after I have given birth. And so it's just been a lot going on. Not to mention, my husband just got a promotion at work, and that's made him busy man. And so we've just kind of been getting accustomed to all of these changes in our life. The big main one being this little munchkin right here. So this is Jensen Alistair Johnson. He was born on April 27th when I was 36 weeks and a few days, I believe. Yes. 36 weeks and a few days, I'm pretty sure. I can't remember exactly what day I was as far as my gestational cycle. Oh, goodness gracious. But what's going on with you? Do you have a hair? Because you're like itching yourself. He's acting like he's hungry, but I assure you he's not. He's just wanting milk. He's probably needing to take a night-night, and so he just wants the milk to help him. You know, who doesn't want a warm glass of milk to put them to sleep? You know, that's his thing, okay? So, let's talk about what happened with birth, okay? So, let's rewind a little bit. I have given birth to 4 boys. Tristan was my first. They started to induce me at 39 weeks. However, I went into labor on my own after they gave me the pill, the little pill that thins your cervix. They gave that to me the night before. They wanted to prepare me for a long labor, and my water broke and I went into labor. It was traumatic because they didn't believe that I was in labor. There was short staff because it was Halloween night and it was the middle of the night, and they didn't check me until I don't even remember, I think like 7 centimeters, 6 centimeters, and I was progressing really, really quickly. And by the time the second shift came, the nurse came in there. I had had no medication whatsoever, and he was crowning. And so, hooray for that. Second birth, Killian was super, super easy at a different hospital at a different time in the middle of the day. I still was induced. This time I went through the full induction period, but I did not come in the night before. I just came in that morning, and he was born at 11:30, something around there. I have a really hard time remembering all the exact times. Okay, let's change this up a little bit, shall we? Come closer to me. Okay, sorry. Let's fix that. So I can just nurse my baby. Anyway, so he was born in like around lunchtime, and he was 39 weeks as well. Then came Alaric, and I'm crooked, so I'm sorry. Alaric was I was 38 weeks, and we were talking about induction, but it wasn't something that we had kind of planned yet, and we hadn't hammered down a date. And when I went and got my cervix checked to see how far along I was, if I was dilated any, so we could kind of prepare, because I do live about 35 to 40 minutes, depending on traffic, away from the hospital where I delivered both Alaric and Jensen. And so because of that, it's kind of far away, and I wanted to make sure that I wasn't going to deliver a baby in the car, just because I had had inductions before, and this was my third baby, and then now my fourth, and so they wanted to make sure that I was not progressing like more than we thought I was, which I didn't think I was. You can opt out of that and you don't have to get your cervix checked. But for me, I just went ahead and did it because, like I said, I do live pretty far away from the hospital, and I got checked out. I was a little bit dilated with him, but with Alaric, but getting checked kind of pushed me over the edge, and that evening I went into labor. So I was about 3 centimeters when they checked me at 38 weeks with Alaric, and it pushed me over the edge, made me go into full-blown labor, and I went into the hospital that evening and had Alaric. I'm trying to remember when I had Alaric, like at what time of day it was. I can't quite remember, to be honest. Oh, I had him in the middle of the night. So I had him at 2:33. Okay, fast forward a little bit to Jensen. The same thing happened, except for I was 36 weeks. They checked me at 36 weeks, and with Alaric, I was 37 weeks and 5 days. Okay, with Jensen, I was a little over 36 weeks, like 36 and a half, and they did the same thing, checked my cervix, and lo and behold, I was like 2 centimeters, 2.5, something like that, and it put me over the edge again, and I went into labor. So I walked a bit here because I could tell like it wasn't, like we weren't there yet. Like we had a ways to go, and I could tell. My family kept pressuring me, like, go to the hospital now, go to the hospital now, because I'm one of those people that it takes me a little to push over the edge. Like I get stuck at this one position, this one spot. In dilation, but once I get over the edge, like it's too late, like he's coming out, and that's how it is with every single time. That's just what happens. Now, I was going to try super hard, and I think I talked to you guys about this on this channel. I know I talked about it on my other channel, Creative Chaos. I wanted to do this birth natural. I didn't want medication. I wasn't opposed to like IV medication or just some different options that you can do, but I wasn't going to have an epidural. I just didn't want one. I've had a couple of bad experiences with epidurals. With my second and third, I had trouble like recovering from the epidural. I felt like I had been hit by a car. With Alaric, it was excruciatingly painful afterwards. Like for a couple of weeks afterwards, I could just still feel that feeling of like my legs were achy, and they had trouble waking up, and then my back was super sore and achy, and I just had a lot of issues with it. And then my second birth with Killian, someone like the anesthesiologist hit a nerve because the nurse told me to move and flex my leg. Why she told me to do that, I don't know, but I did before the anesthesiologist was like, what the heck are you talking about? And it was too late, and I moved, and when I did, she hit a nerve and it shot all the way down, and it was horrible. And then it just took a long time for me to recover from both of those, so I really wanted to go natural. And then I walked up and down the driveway, probably for about 2 hours. I let everybody eat dinner. I ate some dinner myself, for sure. My mom was like, why are you eating? Don't eat dinner. Don't do that. You're going to throw up. And I was thinking, what? No, I'm not. I didn't. I don't know. I guess that's her experience. She ate right before she went into labor, and it made her throw up because of the pain, I guess. I'm not really sure. I think that was what it was. But I went ahead and ate. I ate spaghetti and garlic bread, and I was starving, and I was like, heck yes, I'm eating before I go into this hospital for God knows how long, and they won't give me anything but ice chips. Like, I'm eating. And so I ate some food. Everybody else ate some food. I packed the last minute things that the boys needed because they were going to stay with my siblings while I had a baby. Are you going to eat or not? Like you're just being ridiculous right now. And so let's switch sides, shall we? Give you a little change of scenery. How about that? Anyway, so I walked up and down the driveway for a while through contractions. They were getting a little bit stronger, but again, like it wasn't anything severe or crazy. And then I was on the phone with my mom, and my dad was like freaking out, like, tell her to go to the hospital. You need to be on your way to the hospital, get on my way to the hospital, like freaking out. So I was like, okay, like, I mean, I know that it's not time yet. It's okay. But, their concern was kind of making me like, okay, fine, we'll do it. So I called my siblings. My sister met us at the hospital. We went ahead and got all of the last minute things packed up the car. I actually helped pack the car. Like, I was fine. In between contractions, I could feel them getting stronger, but I was fine. I like walked and squatted all the way in the hospital. I walked around a little bit in the parking lot before we got in there. Like, I could tell we had a ways to go, right? Like, I could just tell, but I could also tell that I was in early labor. I probably could have, looking back, done some of that labor here and been more comfortable. However, it just is what it is. Like, waiting and it being too late is so much worse than going ahead and being early and having to spend some time at the hospital. That's just the way I look at it. So we went there in the hospital and they were monitoring me. They weren't going to admit me yet because I was so early. So when you're that early, if you've never had a baby before, maybe this is your first one. When you're that early, they don't like encourage labor. They don't move it along. They don't push it along. They don't give you any medications. They don't, they don't help you out until they know that you've passed the point of no return. If you have passed the point of no return and there's no way that this labor is going to stop and you're going to go about your day until a couple of weeks later, then they will intervene and they will help you. But they cannot do any intervention before you are like 38 weeks, because if they do, then something could happen and the baby could not be properly developed, and they helped speed that labor along, so it's on them. You know what I mean? It's not just your body doing what it's doing, it's their fault because they pushed labor along and your body might have stopped on its own and the baby would have been fine. So, but we weren't worried about that because Jensen, on his ultrasound, he was measuring perfect and he could be born at any day, and they were perfectly fine with that. All of his organs were developed to their liking and everything was fine. So, it wasn't like that kind of a situation, but just in case that they can't do that. So we were waiting, and she gave me a labor ball, and I was in a gown with my backside completely showing and miserable, and the contractions were getting a little bit stronger by then, but they weren't like horrific. And she checked me and I was at like 3 centimeters. So already from the doctor's office to the hospital, I had progressed like half a centimeter. Okay. I stayed at 3 centimeters forever. Okay. I watched YouTube video after YouTube video. The labor started getting more intense. The contractions started getting heavier. And I walked. And I walked and I walked and I walked some more. And I walked again and again and again. I squatted, I walked, I walked, I walked, I walked all around the hospital room floor. I walked and walked and walked, and the contractions started getting heavier, and the hours were ticking by. And ever so often, they would have to make me lie down, which I hate. And if you're in labor with no medication, like it sucks. Like, why am I laying down? Gravity needs to do its thing. Okay. I was terrified to go home because, right, like I know my body and I get stuck around this time every single time. But if I can just get past the 3 and 4 centimeter mark to that 5 centimeter, he's coming and it's going to progress quickly. But that 3 and 4 centimeter gets me over time and it takes forever. Okay. So, and he's about to be asleep now. So I walked and I got on the ball and I walked, and they would have to strap me down and make me lie down and put the monitors on me so they could monitor him. And at a couple of times his heart rate and his breathing wasn't like it wasn't what they wanted it to be. So they were concerned that he wasn't getting enough oxygen flow. So they would make me flip over to my other side, and then they'd have to make me stop walking to monitor him for a few more minutes, and I'd have to sit there for an hour. And then I would get up and walk and walk and walk and walk and walk some more. And every about 2 hours, I was progressing like half a centimeter. Okay. So it wasn't a lot. It was like 2, 3 hours, I would progress like half a centimeter. I did this from the beginning where I started feeling the first, like, this is early labor contractions where it was uncomfortable enough for me to be like, oh, that's uncomfortable. Till the time, till, you know, the time I got to 5 centimeters was 14 hours. So I did 14 hours. Now, what part of that was like heavy labor? Probably like 8 hours of that was like intense labor where I was like, holy hell, I just want to die. Like, please just kill me now. I'm done. But I was walking through all of it, even the really intense contractions. If it was too intense, I just held on to, the rail, and I just leaned up against the wall, and I just breathed and said, and just got angry because that's how I handle pain. Um, and I just did the dang thing and kept walking because like I don't want to go home at this point, right? Like these are heavy contractions, and they're like off the charts when we're on the monitor. So, they're coming at steady, 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 steady contractions every 3 minutes, every 2 minutes, like steady, 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 steady contractions. But I'm not getting over the dang stupid 3 to 4 centimeter mark of dilation. Like it's just not coming fast enough. So, kept walking, and then shift changed, and the doctor, see, at my practice there's lots of different doctors. I don't go to one specific one because you never know who's going to be on call. You never know who's going to deliver your child. You can schedule the one you prefer, but for me, if it happens the way it's happened the last 2 times, I don't know who I'm going to get. It just depends on who's there. So I want to get to know all of them. And I want to get to know all of them well, not just one visit. I just want to visit regularly all of the different doctors so that I can get to know all of them in the practice. I like them all. I haven't met one that I really just don't like. They're all very different. But if you have a practice like that, I just strongly encourage you to get to know all of your doctors because it just goes easier that way. It's less frightening and less concerning when you end up with a doctor that you don't know. Okay. So I continued on walking, and when it was shift change and she came, it was actually a doctor before her that I had never met before in the practice. Like that's just the way the dice rolled. Like I had never seen him before, and I've actually seen him, and he's going to do a medical procedure on me now. But at the time, I had never met him before, so he was going around the hospital, and he was on call that night, and he was just like, "We're gonna wait. We're just gonna wait. We're just gonna, if she wants to wait at the hospital, that's fine. If she wants to go home in labor, that's fine. But we're just gonna wait. We're just gonna wait before I come and check her. We're just gonna wait." And so then when shift changed and she came, now luckily for me, she is a small, like shorter woman with tiny little hands, tiny fingers. So if you don't know what that means, when they check your cervix to see if it's dilated, they're putting their fingers up there to see and measure with their fingers the amount of fingers that they can put in is how much dilation you have. That's how you're measured. And so for her, by this time, I need to rewind a minute and tell you, like the nurses had stripped my membranes twice, and it was getting me to progress, right? I was progressing each time, but it was just slowly, and I wasn't. So I came in there at like 2, 2.5, and then when she checked me the first time, like after a few hours of me walking around, it was 3. So I had progressed from 2.5 to 3, and then it was just like a little more than 3, but not 3.5. And then it was like, okay, it's 3.5 now. And then it was like, okay, we're a little more than 3.5. I can almost get to a 4. Like it was like that. And it was just so slowly. It was mind numbing and horrific. And so then I was stuck at 4 for a long time. And I'm talking about like, nope, no change. It's 4 still. Oh, it's a little over 4, but pretty much still we're at 4. And then, like, I kept going like that. They stripped my membranes twice. And then when she came to check me, I was like, Shirley, Shirley. And I was like, her name is Dr. Acuff. And I was like, Dr. Acuff, I know that you love me so much. And this was destined to be because, I've been laboring for like ever all night long, and I've just been waiting for you to get here, right? Because you delivered my last baby, so of course you need to deliver this one. And I know it was destiny that now you're going to come in here and your little bitty hands are going to check my cervix and you're going to tell me with your tiny fingers that I am at 5 centimeters, and we can go ahead and progress, and everything's going to be great and wonderful, because I literally have had no sleep and I've been heavy laboring with no medication whatsoever for 14 hours, and I'm sick of it. Okay, so I'm gonna need you to tell me. And of course she laughed, because that's what I do when situations are like intense. I am the comic relief. So I had been making my nurses laugh all night long. Like all night long they were laughing at me, and when the shift changed she was like, okay, this patient's going to be like super amusing for you tonight. Like, you're going to love her because she's going to make your shift like so much easier. She's going to make you laugh your head off. And I could hear them outside in the hallway. And so, comic relief is just my thing. Like, an intense situation, this totally sucks. Let's laugh it off, because why not? And most of the time, it's at my expense, you know? Why not? I'm going through, hell. So, let's just laugh about it, because what else am I going to do? Like, go crazy? It's either or. Either I'm gonna laugh about it or go crazy. So, um, anyway, so I always try to provide comic relief wherever I can. So we, she came in there and she was like, "Oh yeah, you're totally at a 5," and I was like, "Oh my god, thank you so much. Like, just thank you." I wasn't crying, but I really just laughed it off. Like, I told you it was destiny, you know. And so, I was like, you know what? I This natural birth thing, like, screw that. Let's go with it. I have been in labor for 14 hours with no medication whatsoever, and not only that, but I am exhausted. My whole body is exhausted for being stuck here this long. Now I know like people labor for 36 hours or whatever. I don't, okay? And I was tired. My husband had been snoozing on the couch literally the whole entire time. He probably stayed awake like 2 hours of the 14 that we were at the hospital. I was flipping tired. I was ready to be done. My body was exhausted. And I was just like, I don't think, we don't know if my body's going to zoom through these next 5 centimeters or not. We don't know that for sure. So it could be another 14 hours for all we know. Probably not, but it might be. And so, Jensen could just be wanting to hold on in there and not come out, even though he started. He don't want to finish it. Now he's changing his mind. So we could just be here forever. And so I decided to get the epidural. I was like, you know what? Just give me that needle, stick it up my back, and let's just get on with the show. So that's what they did. They did Pitocin, they did epidural, they went ahead and when I had progressed a little bit further, what had happened was there was just a stubborn lining in my cervix. It was just a stubborn like little lip over his head that would not go away, and that was keeping me from progressing. Like, his head was right there. I mean, that was the intense contractions, because it was like boom, 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 like wanting to come out, right? But that lip was keeping him in there, and it was not progressing to get rid of that, and it was just mind numbing. Like, it was awful. And the pain, of course the pain was intense. Have you ever had a baby? It was excruciatingly intense. But I just wasn't doing it. It just wasn't going. And so we went ahead and did the epidural, and then of course I was fine. I was like, it can last however long it lasts. I don't even care at this point. And then of course, once I got the epidural, it was just like boom, and it was time. I mean, I think it was about an hour after the epidural, an hour and a half, and then I was ready to go. Um, and he they broke my water, and then after they broke my water, of course it was like super fast. So a couple hours, broke my water. It went extremely fast after that, and before I knew it, she was like, "Oh yeah, it's time. Let's deliver a baby." And then he was born, and it was I'm not gonna say the most magnificent, wonderful moment of my life, because I've had 4 children, and every time you birth that baby and they give them to you. With Tristan, they wiped him off first and gave him to me. With Killian, he had trouble breathing because he had some amniotic fluid still in his lungs, so they had to work on him a little bit. Then they wiped him off and gave him to me. With Alaric, they just plopped him right down on my chest right afterwards, like pulled him out, plopped him, then cut the cord. With Jensen, they did the same thing, and that is so much more magical than them wiping him off, because it's literally just like You push, he comes out, plopped right on that chest. And right after Jensen was born, right after, when he still had all the nastiness all over his whole body, he looked up at me and he started like trying to root around. I was like, dang, boy, you came out ready, didn't you? You was hungry these hours and hours I've been trying to get you out. You've been hungry the whole time. You ready to eat. And he nursed right away. And I mean, I had stuff all in my hair from him and all over my chest from him. He was disgusting and I was disgusting because of it. And it was the most magical thing ever. And he nursed right away. And there was so much skin to skin, like it was just, I really highly encourage you to kind of talk to your childcare provider, to your healthcare providers about that, about putting them directly on you and making sure you get to nurse right away and have that skin to skin, because it really just makes all the difference in the world. It's like a instant bond right away, like they're not taking him from you and then you get to see him. Like it's just instant, and it's amazing. It really, really is. And so then me and Joshua were having all the hard eyes looking at him, of course, and we were sending pictures to everyone, and yeah, that was it. So it was definitely the most well, Tristan was probably the most intense labor I've ever had, because I went all the way to 9 centimeters before they did anything. I did not have a natural birth. They ended up giving me an epidural at 9 centimeters. I know, that's insanity, right? Like, why did you do that? I don't know, but I was so out of it I didn't even care. I didn't really even say anything. I was out of it, and I was terrified because they were telling me the whole time I wasn't in labor, and then I was, and nobody was in there helping me. Like, I didn't know anything that was going on. So that was a terrifying experience. So that was the most, intense. But Alaric, I had to go through some labor before I got to that point where they would give me anything. But it wasn't nearly as much as this little guy. Like, I worked my tail off to get him here. You know what I'm saying? And could I have done a natural birth? Yes, I could have. I could have just pushed myself and pushed through, but I just didn't want to. I was tired. I had already told my husband that he was going to have to be with me 100% and be every step of the way, loving on me and telling me I could do this. And he wasn't. He was snoring asleep. And, I couldn't do it anymore. I couldn't do that by myself. So went ahead with the epidural. Do I regret it? Heck no. It was a lot easier for this, for whatever reason. What's funny is that the same anesthesiologist that gave me my epidural with Alaric gave me my epidural with Jensen, and it was just fine. Like, I handled it fine. I recovered fine. The epidural wasn't sore. Like, my back was fine. I don't feel it now where I have been feeling it before, and it was just so much better. So, every birth is different. You know what I mean? Like, every child is different. Every birth is different. Every labor is different. And so, that is the story about how my little nursling over here came into the world. And I'm so sorry that I've waited 2 months to share him with you, but there it is. I'm going to put some pictures at the end of this, so don't go away. I'm going to put some pictures of right after he was born, and just some pictures of leading up to the age he is now, so that you can see. And yeah, so I'm so glad to finally get to share this with you. I also love to keep this on my channel for memory purposes. I have all of Alaric's videos from before, all of his month-to-month updates, and I just cherish those videos, cherish those memories. I wish I had it for the other two, and so I want to keep going with that. And yeah, so I will keep updating you. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments down below. I would love to answer them for you. Also, if you have any suggestions for things that you want to see as far as videos, do you want to know about breastfeeding? Do you want to know? I know I had some new mamas that were following me on my pregnancy journey. I had you guys message me a few times. If you want to see anything about, having a baby after they get here, what the heck am I supposed to do with it? Like, they just give you this baby and they trust you to take care of it. Like, what the heck am I doing? Or breastfeeding. I'm super passionate about breastfeeding. I had to learn everything I know from scratch, just from own experience, because nobody in my family had ever breastfed until me. All the things, just let me know down in the comments below, and I'll be happy to do videos on that. But I am so glad to be back, and hopefully the vlogs will be rolling out as well. I feel like I'm trying to get back on the train. I'm trying. It's just a matter of, is there enough quiet to do this? This channel is a lot easier to do without quiet, because obviously you're seeing my real life, but as far as my other videos, my planning channel, and my junk journal channel and all of that, like it's a little bit harder for me to film videos because it's never quiet. If he's asleep, the 2-year-old's awake. If the 2-year-old's asleep, then he's awake. Everybody's crying and whining and asking for me, and mama's in demand. You know what I mean? There's 4 human beings. One of them's bound to need me and need something at some point. So I'll do the best I can, but thank you so much for being patient with me. Thank you for watching this video, and I can't wait to see you in the next one. Bye, guys.